Hello guys and welcome back to Married at First Sight Australia, and today we are going to be talking about the second commitment ceremony. The second commitment ceremony, in one word, would probably be satisfying. And the reason I say satisfying is the people who needed to be called out got called out, and yes, it was just satisfying in that way, because there were some people who the experts absolutely ripped to shreds, and then there were some people that I thought probably deserved to be ripped to shreds or deserved harsher questioning, but they're kind of just letting slide by. And I'm interested to see how that continues. But before we get into the episode, I just want to say thank you guys very, very much for watching, and make sure you are subscribing. We are on our way to 900, which is a crazy amount of subscribers. You guys are absolutely smashing it. So without much further ado, let's get into the video, shall we? So our first couple on the couch is Ellie and Ben. Ellie and Ben have had a tough week. If you'll recall, he mimicked her at a dinner that they went to, and then he was like, oh, now I suddenly want kids. And then he said on the Friday night that he didn't think that she was a match for him, and then suddenly he's back fine with her. The more I watch of this guy, the more I do feel like he is playing her a little bit, and almost being like, let's see how far I can take this. Maybe maximize my screen time, etc., etc. I just don't know what other possible reason you'd have to do all of this. Do you know what I mean? It's like all of it's happened off camera and it's upset her. So it's like it really is just sort of her word against yours kind of thing. But like, he's not even denying it. So it's like, what is going on here? And then Ben was genuinely asked, do you want to be here? Is this what you want? And he said, yes, but I've been finding it stressful, and it's just, sometimes it's hard. And the experts were basically like, okay, everyone, how many of you feel stressed in this process? Pretty much everybody put their hand up. And then the experts just turned to Ben and went, learn to deal with your stress better. And I thought, absolutely fair and valid, because currently his like form of dealing with stress is by taking the piss out of her, making her feel small, and then saying, oh, I want out, I can't do this, let's quit and run. Like, what's going on here? Andrea very bravely opened up about her past experiences and how she's been in Ellie's shoes, and she knows that like this is not okay, and they do it on purpose because they feel bad about themselves. Honestly, kind of let Ben have it. Kind of let him have it a little bit. And I was like, if I was sat in Ben's shoes, I would want to crawl into a hole and die, because that was mortifying for him. I could not be doing that. And then he was also being questioned by the group about his drastic change of mind. He explained his reasonings for it, about being on the phone to his sister-in-law and hearing his like niece and nephew mucking up in the background, and him just being like, oh, maybe I am ready for this. But it does just still feel a little bit convenient that just when she was feeling really sort of like, maybe not, he's given her this little nugget and she's like, yes, let's keep going. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about those two, but they did decide to both stay, so they will continue on in the experiment. I don't have much faith for them, I'll be 100% honest. I think that they're one of the weaker couples in the experiment at the moment. But that brings us on to Jack and Tori. Now, Jack and Tori immediately brought up the whole Timothy argument that had happened at the dinner party. And they were basically like, do you regret anything you say? Like, do you want to apologise? And he was like, no, I don't regret anything I said. That's how I feel. That's how I see the situation. I'm not apologising for how I feel. And I was like, I know I said like the way he did it was wrong, and like the way he went about it was wrong, and he should have actually said about the whole Jack not having any sexual chemistry with her comment that he made. But I actually was kind of on Timothy's side. I feel like they ambushed him at this commitment ceremony in front of the experts, and I thought good on him for being like, no, I just don't believe it. And the reason why I'm agreeing with him is because I do agree with his comments. I don't see it. I don't believe it. I think she is genuinely falling in love with him. I think he's treating her like a plaything. And that's just how I feel, because it is toxic. It's one of those things of like, if you are claiming that you have this connection, you have this spark, why has your relationship not progressed? With Lucinda and Timothy, it's different because they haven't quite found the spark yet. They haven't quite found that common ground, that level of intimacy. But it almost feels like Jack's doing it on purpose to see how long he can last, or how long she can last before they actually commit to that. Does that make sense? It's really, really toxic from what I can see. And then they were asked, oh, how do you feel about each other? And Jack was basically like, oh, I think she's a stand-up girl. She's great. And then Tori was asked, and she went into so much detail about what she likes about him, etc., etc. And I think that perfectly encapsulated the difference between the two of them. It's toxic is what it is. It's not fun. And it does feel very, very one-sided. But both of them did decide to stay, so they will continue on in the experiment. Yay, I guess. I mean, they are bringing drama, so I gotta be grateful for that. But I just do feel a little bit bad for Tori, but also she goes along with it. It's, yeah. So up next, we have Lucinda and Timothy. Now, Lucinda and Timothy are in a very precarious situation at the moment because Lucinda is feeling absolutely humiliated because of Tim's actions at the dinner party. Everything that was just coming out about him, all the ammunition that was being lodged against them, she just felt mortified, and she doesn't know whether she wants to be in a relationship with someone that is so sort of like to the world, like screw you. She doesn't know whether she can be in that kind of relationship with someone like that. And I completely understand where she's coming from. I think he can be very, very pessimistic and doesn't want to see the light in situations, can only see the dark. And it's because of his experiences in life. He's had a really rough life by all accounts, from what he's told us about it. It doesn't sound like it's been a fun life. So if that's the way he deals with things, fair, there's not really much you can do about that. He mentioned himself, and this is something that I do from time to time, he compartmentalizes, he packs it away into a box, pushes it to the side, progresses with life, doesn't deal with the problems at hand. I do it all the time. I know, I've been in his shoes. I'm getting better at it, but I've been in his shoes where something horrible happens and you're like, let's package that up and ship it off to America. Let's just leave it over there. Yeah, it can be tough. And I think what is stopping him from opening everything up and spreading everything about is that he's just worried about being rejected because of it. But the issue is he's with the one person on the show that is probably going to be the best person for him to deal with all of this trauma. Lucinda's so calm, she's so understanding, she's so joyful about life, and I think he just needs to deal with those pressing issues and then really throw himself into this experiment. Yeah, both of them did decide to stay though, which I'm happy to report. But yeah, there's work to be done there, and I'm glad that they're staying, but they really do need to turn things around, and he just needs to try a bit more, because it does feel very, very much like Lucinda was trying, and now no one's trying because Lucinda's like, I can't keep doing this like that. I physically cannot do this anymore. I'm sorry. So we're going to whiz through 3 couples who are doing absolutely fine. There's literally nothing to talk about them. They genuinely had a maximum of like 2 minutes for all 3 of them. Cass and Tristan staying. They're doing well. They're doing very well at the moment. Eden and Jaden also doing very well at the moment. Going very well. Andrew and Richard also staying. And it just feels like these 3 couples are currently the strongest 3. And I think that's because they really sort of open up to each other. They are being intimate with each other, with the exception of Cass and Tristan, who are trying. Tristan is doing his best, bless him. But they just feel like they genuinely have a connection and are genuinely working towards having a connection with each other. Big green flag. Very happy with that. So that brings us to Lauren and Jonathan. Lauren and Jonathan, what can I say about these 2? It's been a tough week for them. It's been a tough one. And I think that's because Lauren is starting to realise that Jonathan is potentially not the kind of person that she's after. But in the same breath, is he the kind of person that she's after? Probably not. But is he the kind of person that she needs? Yes. I think she understands that. Lauren is very, very good at acknowledging her faults. And this is something that, when we come on to our next couple, is the complete opposite. Lauren is very, very good at knowing what is wrong with her relationship, but not necessarily knowing how to fix it. She's also very good at calling herself out on things. Like, she was saying that sometimes she gives off energy that she's just not interested in a conversation, or she's not interested in the relationship as a whole, and she doesn't know how to not do that, because she'll be painfully aware of it and then she'll struggle to change it. Then you've got the fact that apparently she's called him boring and robotic, and there was another word, but I can't remember what it was. And it's just hurting him a little bit. Like he said, he hadn't actually heard her use the word boring for him since, like at all. And so that kind of hurt him a little bit. And he was saying, like, I'm a very outgoing, like, good, like, happy person. But then when I get energy that doesn't match that, I don't want to give the same energy back. And it's understandable. It's fair. It is what it is. But she just doesn't really know why she does it. And she also doesn't know how to stop it. So basically, what she's doing is she's waiting for something to go wrong that gives her an excuse to run. But because nothing is going wrong, that's frustrating her, because that's what she's waiting for. And I think she needs to stop waiting for something bad to happen, because it might not happen. This might be the best. This might be the relationship that she has in her lifetime. It could be, but if you're constantly waiting around for disappointment, for someone to let you down, etc., etc., you're never going to get to that position. That's just how I feel about the situation. But they both decided to stay in the competition, which I'm very, very glad, because I do think that they are a good couple. They have absolute high highs, and they don't even have like low lows like some couples, but they just have like peaks and valleys, is how I would describe it. So we are now on to our last couple, and our last couple is SARA and Tim. SARA immediately apologized for causing a scene the other day, and I was like, okay, at least she's addressed it. Go on. And then she kind of just sat there, and then the expert people were like, have you apologized to Tim? And she sat there like, well, he yelled at me. And when I tell you, when she said that, the experts went ballistic. And by experts, I mean Mel. Mel is not usually one to be scathing, as far as I recall in the UK one. She's not. They were all really nice. She'd sometimes be a little bit snarky, but this is the most scathing I've seen her, which was like, yeah, exactly. So it was just a bit crazy because she was like, well, the fact that your body language, the pointing, the fact that you were yelling at him well before he started yelling at you, the fact that you were nasty and angry and like audibly violent the entire evening towards him led this man to breaking point, and you drove him down that path, and then you want to play the victim when he does finally snap. And I was like, thank God they've called her out on it, because there's a lot of times on these kind of shows where they're very quick to be like, oh yeah, the man's in the wrong. But then when the woman's in the wrong, it's more sort of like they're always very delicate with it. Whereas I'm very glad that they called her out on this, because this was nasty. This was nasty behaviour, and I'm not condoning it. Big, fat red flag. Big red flag. And the fact that she didn't even take accountability for it. And then she was like, oh, I guess I didn't see it like that. And I was like, oh, God. So it's just delusional. It's just absolute delusion from SARA. Okay, cool. Then she was giving reasons for why she's missed the dates. And the first one was because they weren't in a good space. The second one was because they had food that they had to cook indoors, so they just stayed in. And then the third one was when she was hungover. And they were trying to get SARA to admit the fact that she isn't 100% in this experiment. She wants to still have fun with her girls, and she's not making Tim a priority in this experiment, which is causing issues because he doesn't feel like he's wanted. Then Cass spoke up. Now, Cass is a lovely, lovely, lovely person. Lovely, 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 lovely. But when she speaks out, clearly something is wrong and is... yeah. And she was basically like, Tim, you're so different when you're away from SARA, but when you're with her, it's like you're toning yourself down. Like, are you scared of her? And SARA was like, how dare you accuse me of being scary? And then basically Tim was like, well, no, it's just I don't feel like I have the energy to fight when I'm with SARA, because that seems to be what we do, and I'm just not happy at the moment. And I was like, rah, this poor guy. But they did both decide to stay. But I think this is the final straw for Tim. I think if this week isn't any better, it's going to be time to call it quits. Yeah, tough one. I think she needs to buck her ideas up tenfold, because I'm done with her bullshit. But yeah, other than that, that is all we've got time for today. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to all of that YouTube stuff that you guys do so well. And I will see you guys in the next episode, whenever that may be. So until then, make sure to keep on subscribing. We are almost at 900. Keep on ranting. Bye now.